What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and today, this is one of those videos that I actually really enjoy making because these kinds of releases really can have a huge impact on the gaming community. And today we're going to be talking about Steel Division Normandy 44. And before we get into this, I'm going to tell you who is making this game. It is being made by Paradox Interactive, but the developers are developers who actually worked on the original Wargame series. At least that is what I have read. I don't know if that's a lie, but if that is the case, that's really exciting because Wargame was probably one of the best real-time strategy games that also was incredibly authentic when it came to realistic, large-scale command of troops. And I was a big fan of the Company of Heroes original game. I was a huge fan of Wargame, and I think it is about time that we have a high quality World War II strategy game. Company of Heroes really set the bar, and Men of War is another real-time strategy game that definitely deserves its own praise, but it's almost a completely different kind of animal. I am much more into streamlined, competitive real-time strategy games, but real-time strategy games that still have a lot of depth and a lot of strategic realism in how you command your troops and how you fight the enemy. And I think Steel Division might be one of the biggest and best RTS games as far as realistic gameplay and World War II is concerned since Company of Heroes. Honestly, I'm thinking straight up. I think there will not have been a better World War II strategy game, at least for that kind of genre, released since Company of Heroes. So we're going to watch the trailer, and I unfortunately, there isn't much gameplay in the trailer itself, if any at all, but there's a lot of screenshots that we're going to look at, and we're also going to take a look at some of the details that they've announced. Assuming they let me. There we go.
Every battle ends in an instant. The shooting stops and the defeated emerge. That moment, a result of hours of fighting, days of planning, weeks of preparation. Who can predict the enemy's next move? Who has the supplies needed to push when the enemy falters? Who has their most powerful assets nearby in support, and whose are miles away? Victory may have 1,000 makers, but only one commander. Steel Division, Normandy 44.
And Wargame does this kind of gameplay really, really well. The logistics, the aspects of warfare, not just throwing enemies at the front lines, but also the infrastructure that you have to provide for your units in order. I mean, a lot of people, everybody's going to laugh, but a lot of people say that Wargame is like the Project Reality of real-time strategy games. And obviously I'm going to make that comparison on this channel. Where the hell do you think you are? I mean, it's Blue Drake's I'm gonna bring up Project Reality. But if we look at some of the screenshots, I think this could even be better than Wargame, because Wargame was an excellent game. It was an incredible game, but it was very large scale, and the small scale details weren't there as much. And I think that it's been a long time since Wargame was originally released, and we could potentially see gameplay on the detail, like on the level of Company of Heroes, but expanded to the scope of Wargame. I mean, when you look at these screenshots, the detail is so much more significant than the detail in Wargame, which means I think the gameplay might also scale to that. I think you might have the real tight-knit micromanagement gameplay that was really fun with Company of Heroes, combined with the large-scale and logistical infrastructure of the Wargame series. And I think that's a winner. I think that is a hella winner. We've only got 2 screenshots left here. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. It's incredible. I love that. See, it comes from the makers of Wargame, but the variety that you see and the terrain is so much greater than Wargame. In Wargame, there was a lot less terrain features to think about. There was essentially plains, towns, not planes as in like aircraft, like fields, towns, and forests. That was like the main thing, and every single map was just kind of like recombinations of that. But when you look at this, like, there is a considerably wider variety. You have these industrial sectors, you have these small towns, you have much more dense towns that look like a combination of industrial and potentially residential or commercial. You've got these interesting railroads. It would be really cool if they actually incorporated railroads into the logistical aspect of the game, where you actually had to transport supplies by train, not just on the ground through the roads and highways and things like that. And you see there's also dirt roads as well as main highways. So compared to Wargame, like, there's so much more variety to potentially take advantage of here, which I think is really, really good. So let's go over the words. Steel Division Normandy 44. About this game, Steel Division Normandy 44 is a tactical real-time strategy game. We understand this. Main features: command over 400 historically accurate units. That's the big thing about Wargame. Wargame had just an absolute overwhelming amount of vehicles and infantry and just variety in the troops that you were able to command. Whether fighting for control in intense multiplayer battles with up to 10 versus 10 players going head-to-head, playing alone or working with friends in ranked matches, players will need to coordinate their selection of historically accurate infantry, tanks, aircraft, and support vehicles to counter enemy units in this tactical RTS game. That's actually something that's really, really cool, because Wargame European Escalation did not have aircraft. So this is going to be a game that actually has everything right off the bat. I do not know if it will have naval vehicles, because obviously, but I don't even think that would be that big of a deal, honestly. The naval aspect of Wargame, the final installment, was cool, but I don't think it was nearly as much a game changer as when aircraft came into the picture. Real-world tactics. Battles rage over 3 distinct phases, where different units unlock over time, mimicking the movement of real-world armies and adding variety to the ever-changing theater of war. A dynamic front line illustrates the ebb and flow of the conflict. Pin down your opponent's infantry to gain the advantage, and force a retreat or push through with a perfectly executed plan. Now, this is actually pretty cool, because this goes back to my comparisons of Company of Heroes. With Company of Heroes, it was much more of like a frontline focused game. There was a lot more push and pull compared to like snipe strategies or whatnot, as opposed to Wargame was like a modern game. So you have all sorts of weapons in terms of not just snipers, but long range anti-tank missiles, aircraft that have like anti-radar missiles, like a completely different, almost asymmetrical line of warfare. You could fly special forces all the way to the other side, and then have them like snipe out and destroy like enemy command vehicles and things like that. And that actually made sense in that setting. But I think the cool thing is Wargame coming into this real-time strategy game might apply the aspects of World War II. Much more of a front line, considerably less accurate weapons, much more just destruction and epic gunfire that is going to take and destroy everything, as opposed to in Wargame, your attacks were much more focused and targeted and precise. Whereas in this, I think it is going to be just a complete clusterfuck, in a good way, of combat, which is really, really cool. So if they actually do what they're great at and retain the realistic aspects of warfare just in World War II, portraying that. I think this is going to be a completely different game from the original Wargame series, and also incorporate some of the awesome things that we love from Company of Heroes into like a new era of competitive gaming for RTS. Using the latest version of Eugen's Iris Zoom engine, yeah, we know, of course that's going to happen. Outplan, outsmart, outgun, from battle group customization to troop positioning and maneuvering. Winning battles requires cunning and strategy, not just raw firepower. Each unit loss represents a growing tactical disadvantage, and players need to fight to gain and keep the upper hand. Troop positioning. When it says troop positioning, I wonder if that means like you can actually change troop formations. Probably not, but that would be really, really cool. But yeah, that is everything. That is all the information that we have right now. Very, very cool. I am really excited about this game in particular. There's not very many games out there that I get as excited about as anything made by Wargame. And I think another cool thing about this is these guys have an excellent reputation of delivering high quality games right out of the box. So this isn't going to be any early access bullshit or anything like that. It's going to be an incredible game, probably right at release, and a really high quality game that I think everybody's going to enjoy. All right, that is it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. There is a giveaway in the description below, so make sure you click that. And besides that, I'll see you guys next time. All right, love you. Bye.